this year marks the 50th anniversary of A Clockwork Orange.
Yeah.
What does that feel like? Does it feel like that much time has passed?
No, it's shocking to me, really. That well, it's shocking to me that if somebody had said you'd still be not only alive but working 50 years from now, I would have laughed. I mean, but you know, when you're young, it lasts forever, and suddenly you turn around, and there goes 50 years. But you know, listen, 50 years when you're having a lot of fun seems like a very fast time. If you were in a jail cell, I don't think it would go quite so fast.
Sure.
And so it all depends on what you're doing. And, you know, I've been very lucky with my life, my family, and, you know, all that stuff. And so, yeah, it's really weird. It's weird, I'll put it that way. But still to be talking about this movie, you know, it's a testament to really many extraordinary elements. I guess the three main elements are, you know, Anthony Burgess, Stanley Kubrick, and I have to put myself in there because I'm in every frame of the movie. And working on it just seemed so natural. It seemed, once the style had been established and we found it, then the journey was a lot easier. It was so much fun, you know, to play a lot of these scenes. And it was such a great part. And, you know, Stanley was a very nice guy. He was very amenable. He never raised his voice. He was, I mean, he was a good friend, you know, he really was for a long time. And then we fell out, but that's no big deal, you know, that sometimes happens, you know.
You mentioned you've been talking about this movie for 5 decades. Just like,
Yeah.
It was kind of like when I was coming up with questions, I was like, how could I possibly come up with something that he has not talked about? And I don't know if it's possible, but you've done like countless interviews, Q&As about this movie over the years. And I was wondering what the number one question is that people ask you in regards to Clockwork Orange. What's
it like to work with Stanley Kubrick? Of course, you know. And I honestly say, well, there's no easy answer to that. What's it like, you know, when you work with somebody, and, you know, that sometimes it's great and sometimes it's not so great. You know, it was an enormous responsibility because, you know, Kubrick had made some of the most iconic movies, you know, Paths of Glory, Lolita, Strangelove, 2001. I mean, that's a monumental movie. And I went to see it on a huge curved screen in Cinerama, I think it was called, in Soho at the time. And I sat there, I mean, I was just bedazzled by the sheer power of it. I mean, even, you know, the first 45 minutes just with the apes. I mean, if that was just a movie, you'd go, wow, what a movie. But nobody even speaks for 45 minutes. I mean, it's mind-blowing. And for when it came out, now, okay, people have done sort of similar things. But then, and you know, before 2001, science fiction's movies were pretty much Flash Gordon and cardboard sets. You know, I mean, that's what it was. And so when Stanley brought the whole philosophical element to this film and the story of it, Arthur C. Clarke then did it, you know, quite amazing. And then you add in all the amazing effects that I know that Stanley, you know, helped create, pretty much. But, you know, Christiana told me, actually, the whole thing of the imploding of the black hole at the end, you know, the end of creation, whatever it is, was shot in her kitchen
Wow.
with a pan of boiling water that was an inch deep. And the camera came right down over the pot with the steam, and they had these droppers of glycerine, and they'd put in these different colors, and they'd swirl in this, and that was it. And it looks like, my God, the end of creation, you know, the end of the universe that we know. I mean, it's just staggering.
Hi there, my little droogies.
Let's talk about when A Clockwork Orange was released, because you're in your 20s. So I'm curious what your relationship was with the film when it came out and how it kind of evolved over time.
I was thrilled when it came out, you know, people recognized it. I was a bit perturbed that they seemed to think it was a very violent film.
Yeah.
And I honestly thought they missed the point there, because, you know, it's really a sort of satirical, that part. And I mean, yes, it's violent, more violent, psychological violence, which is, of course, harder to take, you know. But it's certainly not violent like a Sam Peckinpah movie. I mean, that's real violence, all in slow motion and exploding bodies and all the rest of it. But even that, to me, was like a ballet, you know. So when it first came out, I was absolutely thrilled. You know, the reviews were pretty, I think most were extraordinary. There are a few bad ones, but really not that many. And you know, it didn't matter, because frankly, the lines around the block at the cinemas all over the world was testament enough.
Yeah.
I mean, that you don't really care about the reviews when you get lines of people like that. So it didn't really matter that much. But and then I think within a year or two, you know, I got a little fed up with it because nobody wanted me to do anything else except recreate that. You know, I'm an actor, professional actor, and certainly not going to repeat myself endlessly, you know, doing that. And I remember turning down like $1 million. In those days, that was a lot of money, to go to Japan to do an advertisement for milk.
Oh.
Now, when they said, I went, yeah, for how much? Oh my God, yes. But then they said, yeah, but you've got to wear the eyelash, the bowler, and I went, no, I can't do that. I mean, I'm happy to do it as me, but I'm not doing it as that character. I had to forego that, which was tough.
Right, and that was $1 million.
Yeah, in those days. Was staggering amount of money.
That's a lot. So yeah, I mean, I have to imagine there's this period of time where you're eventually like, please stop asking me about this movie. I did other movies.
No, you're absolutely right. I think honestly, for the first 10 years, I really started to resent the thing and go, you know, I'm over it. Oh, for God's sake, talk about something else. You know, what about these great movies I did with Lindsay Anderson? Let's talk about those or whatever. I wasn't really happy with it, but you know, there was, I think roughly 10 years after it came out, I sort of had a realization that, you know, I was part of something that was pretty extraordinary. You can either accept it, smile, go with it, or never talk about it again. Mm-hmm. And I decided, listen, I made the bloody movie. I put a lot of myself in that part, and I'm extremely proud of it. I love working with Stanley. In the most part, we had a great time. So I think I'll take the road of, yep, I'm proud of it. I love it. That's it.
Well, we're honored. And it's wild because it's like you see this movie and your portrayal just influence kind of everywhere in different roles. And like we've seen it pop up as recently as the new Space Jam. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah. No, I know. They got my permission to use it, but that's great. You know, listen, The one thing about the movie actually is that it really did cross all cultural sides. I mean, you know, Jean-Paul Gaultier did a whole collection on Clockwork Orange, on Alex, Bowler, Eyelash, the cane, the whole thing, the codpiece. And of course, Madonna strutted around, you know, and David Bowie, and he did the whole Clockwork thing. And you know, I think that's pretty amazing, actually, when you think about it, you know. And to be at the center of that is, it's sort of wacky and great.
You mentioned at the beginning how busy you are, and it's you're so right. I looked at your IMDb and I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, I don't even know where to start. So I'm just curious at this point, is there a filmmaker, actor, even a franchise like right now that you have not, someone you haven't worked with yet that you would love to work with?
Tarantino. I love him, love his movies. He's always so exciting as a filmmaker. I love him. But of course, there's, you know, the great ones, you know. There's a lot. I love working with new people, you know, and I love to see them at the beginning of their journey. And, you know, I'm coming to the end of mine, but I am doing this show right now in Newfoundland, which is the furthest east you can go in the Americas, and making this amazing show, and I'm so thrilled about it. It's called Son of a Critch, so we'll see. I think it's going to be really fantastic, and it's a comedy about a family. So this family in Newfoundland in the 80s, and it's seen through the eyes of an 11-year-old boy, and it's really charming and funny and very poignant.
That's
so
awesome.
We'll see.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
I'm really excited about it. So if I'm excited, then that's a good sign. You know, I just really wanted to do this. And when I read it, I immediately went, yes.
Well, I'm out of time, but this has been an absolute pleasure to talk to you.
Thanks, Ash. All the best.